What is up, everyone? Pittsburgh White Schwartz coming at you with a tournament report, the last one of the season. Joined today, joined today by Team Surf Japan, who you might have already seen did pretty fucking well at this tournament. That is Brian, Tyler, and Tanner, all of whom you already know. But you guys could say hello.
Hello, yeah.
Howdy.
Hello.
New Jersey is probably the regional that most of our players go to, since, it doesn't require a passport. Toronto, technically closer by like an hour, I think. Ends up being about the same distance since you got to get across the border and get back. But Toronto and New Jersey are pretty much equidistant for us, so we try to make it out to those ones. New Jersey wrapping up the season, as it usually does, I think, past 2 years. It's been like the end outside of something like Vancouver, which is way too far for us. Despite what my roommate Brandon might want to say about driving there, he tried to imply
Only
last
36
night.
hours.
Yeah,
Only
shut
36
shut
hours.
that down.
You're a coward, yeah.
Yeah, a coward. Can't drive all the way across the country. But let's just hop right into it. I want to go through what you guys decided to play, why you decided to play it. We'll start with one of the easy ones, Brian and C-Day, with a list that you may have seen.
Yeah, I was playing Alice. I was playing the deck that I feel like to most people was like if you don't have it on your team, you're throwing your chances away of doing well. I was not originally planning on playing Alice. Tyler and Tanner pressured me into picking up the deck a few weeks prior to the event, and I mean I'm pretty happy. The deck's pretty strong, but I was planning on playing like Kaguya or something random if I did not have access to the set because I was the only one on our team willing to shell out for it. So I ended up on Alice, specifically on the Kirito finisher. I was playing around with Argo because I liked the amount of damage that Argo could push and get you out of potentially sticky situations. But after testing with Kirito, the deck felt a lot cleaner and a lot safer, especially due to the fact that the finisher was off of Pants, which gave you an easier way to recur the Alice combo. So I was pretty happy with the Pants trigger to recur Alice into a finisher that does a decent amount of damage and also acts as a pseudo neg soul wall to get a little bit of extra damage off your back in the final turns of the game.
Yeah, didn't even bother with Silica. I think I came back angry enough.
Yeah, I didn't.
For everybody.
I didn't even try it. Yeah.
So Silica's fine. She's like a pretty good middle ground. I think the big thing with Silica is you don't have to sculpt for your finisher really. You just kind of like get into triple at the end, kind of Marine-esque. Which has its benefits, has its drawbacks. The big thing is like Silica's really bad in the clutch, whereas Argo pushes a lot of damage and Kirito can really sustain you for a long time. Silica doesn't do like a really good job of much of anything. You kind of have to be really far ahead for the card to do a lot, but usually you are as Alice, which is why you see Silica continuing to do well. She definitely has benefits. I don't want to downplay those, but I am also a big Kirito fan. This is my preferred way to play the list in English at this time. Just looking over your list, since we're gonna go into like some of the spicier non sequitur like choices here. I see that you are not playing any Fuka Zero, and we talked about this.
Yeah, this is specifically because of that conversation I had with you after the locals 1 week, where it felt like the Chiuris were not doing a whole lot for the deck. They were a little bit too much investment for the deck speed that they were, and replacing them with I went +1 Yu-Gi-Oh, +2 Alice Ricky, and I don't.
I think that's it. I think that's it.
Oh, and yeah, three Chiuris. Yeah, +2 Ricky, +1 Yu-Gi-Oh in that spot. And the Alice Ricky was really MVP at the event. The ability to get into an extra copy of the Shuffleback Alice or a little bit of extra deck speed on the spot if you needed, if you have the extra stock to spare, it just came in clutch a lot more often than I feel like the Chiuri would have.
For people that might be scratching their head as to why like you'd play a card that spends stock at all, because stock is the premium resource in this deck, not really hand, because you have to hit those specific numbers you're trying to hit 6 cards with 3 stock before you do your shuffle backs, or 9 cards with 4 stock when you hit your shuffle backs, which is 2 turns at 0, which you hopefully try to get with the way you play at your turns. What you do with the Alice Ricky is by using it in conjunction with the Leafer Rico, you either play the Leafer Rico, hand a stock, grab the Alice Ricky, or grab a different card, play down the Alice Ricky, send that card that you sent to stock to your clock, and then search. So it's the same card economy as playing a Ruijerd, but it gives you 2 attacks on board. So it helps you keep up attacks on board, keep it like damage parity, making sure you're able to try field like modern decks are while not giving up your stock threshold. Because you do this all in main phase, unlike other cards that might clock you during battle phase or something like that for paying stock. Because you have full control over it and the card's very selective, it kind of lets you keep up those attacks while keeping your stock high, which is why it's only a 2 of them. Might seem a little weird, but I implore everybody to try it and sort of cut that Fuka Zero. That card is literally only good going first on your first turn, and after that, like, the card is like absolute dog, I think. Only other weird thing is you're only on 3 Leafer Rico instead of 4, and you have the Argo Brainstorm. I know I cut it, but I think just using the Resonator, but I think that's fine. I think the list is selective enough. You just get that thing back.
Yeah, I mean, Argo, Argo was good enough. If had I swapped Argo for an extra Leafa, the deck probably would have performed almost exactly the same.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Bouncing things back at 0. I think we talked about that too. That's like really strong when you can.
Yeah, occasionally useful. The ability to pop an extra like Lemon Asuna back to your hand for a little bit of extra deck speed, filtering out some useless card that you don't need early on.
Or just attack with admin too. You can like bounce admin back.
Yeah.
Giving you an extra attacker. That's what it's all about. Like the Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Alice give you ways to attack with your utility zeros that you would otherwise try to clutch for your mill turn, and let you like get extra copies or get them back. Things like that give you that safety net. I gotta ask, how many times did you use the mill 17?
Once.
Once? Did it win you the game though?
No, it was the game I lost in top 4.
Damn. Well.
Yeah.
Well, at least it gave you an option to try to do something, right? That's what it's for. All right. Well, I think this one's pretty simple. I think Alice has been talked to about a lot. We probably talked about it more than we had to. So we'll move on to Tyler's here. In seat B, right in the center, 8 standby quintuplets.
All right. Well, I was going to be planning on playing 8 door, and I was starting to test that at locals again. And I just kept going 1-2 or 1-3, and I was just like, this isn't feeling too hot. So I decided to swap onto 8 standby almost with no practice.
Well, you say that, but you've played this list into the ground.
You've played this into the ground at last.
I played it into the ground, sure, but not to the extent of like into the new meta with Alice and such.
But you did. I know when we were practicing, you did get a couple games into my Alice when I was picking it up with this.
Yeah,
and you felt, you felt more confident into Alice with this deck than you did with 8 door, and I think that's one of the major reasons why you decided to change over.
I think that 8 standby felt better to me because the level 1 Eatski could not survive Alice. So that was my whole game plan. I normally ran like 3 2K counters in Eatski to keep my level 1s alive. But that's not the case with Alice.
Yeah,
so with the 2-2 Ninos, I was able to actually crack Alice a lot. I only played against 1 Alice, and that was in top 4, but it was doing work in that game.
Yeah, I know you were like really far ahead in that game.
Yeah.
Looking at your 0 lineup, I gotta. It looks like you've warped it quite a bit to fit in these 4 center runners. A card that I know you really like.
Yeah, the center runners actually.
That's a story there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, first off, I do really like the center runners. They feel great, and I think the center runners are actually really good in the current meta. But not only did I put in 4 of center runners, it's because I didn't have 2 of the Ichika other Ricky from set 1.
The Aqua Ricky.
The Aqua Ricky Ichika. So I just put in 2 more of the center runners.
I mean, it's like a plus, right? It's like you just want the card, you want the raw card for the next turn. Like a similar discussion as what we were talking about with Slime.
But I think in my list, the center runner worked better with the frontal 500 assist and the pay one sack deck mill forward take one.
I know you were raving about that.
That
'cause you get the
felt
4K.
so good.
Yeah, you get the 4K center run on your first turn because you
I
got to field
actually
an
think
extra
that
card
was the
anyway.
MVP of the deck.
Yeah, the fact that you get that extra card at 0 and then you can cash out that back row when you have other cards on board or like you hit a standby and you need to pay something out can be pretty good.
Yeah.
I gotta say, one Cheery, one Ricky. Is this
They
just
came, they actually came in handy. I mean, well, the thing with the one ofs is that you run Rico and
yeah, I was
you
gonna
actually
say
have
Rico.
you have a okay amount of deck speed in the list, so they're gonna be in your waiting room at some point. I was able to Rico for my Cherry and my Brainstorm and my the green Eatski Zero a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
always one of the good things because you play 4 of this Rico. If you open these kind of like tech cards, you can actually throw them to dig for like 1/1s or standbys to make your opener better. That's like always the good thing about 8 standby Quints. You can just like be really aggressive on your mulligan to throw these things away because you know that Rico can always grab them back on your first turn because you're gonna draw garbage you want to filter out anyway that you need for later turns. I like the shift back to the red 1/1 or like stuff like that, like splitting up your 1/1 lineup to adapt to the meta. I think that's can't just jam 4 blue 1/1s anymore.
yeah,
Not in
in my
Alice.
opinion, I think I would have actually liked to go 4 red 1/1 and 1 of the blue 1/1.
Yeah, I think it's just like when you have big board stuff like Alice coming down at 1, it's like having these like effectively garnets in your deck, right? That just like don't do anything.
I'd rather the hand encore.
Yeah,
I know you.
Mhm.
I know you were also saying the frontal 500 power making those red 1/1s 8K was pretty relevant. 1/1
Yeah.
with hand on core.
Over the weekend, there were so many people that go, "How big is that?" And I go, 8K, and they're like, "Oh, okay," and then they just can't kill it.
Yeah, it's just like only being able to crack over 7/5 because everybody expects a blue 1/1. They're like, oh, I'll swing over it because they don't really play level 1 counters, but I won't lose my card. But now, like, you know, normal 1/1s back out there again.
Yeah.
Keeping board. I like the blue early play. We've talked about that too. Blue early play in there just to make it a little bit easier because you got that center runner too. I've always thought that was a totally fine choice. And everything else is pretty standard, I think. Mem kick, just opting into a little bit of extra defensive power.
We don't talk about Memkick, Carmen.
Able to get people. What the
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get
there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that later, I guess. But yeah, I like the way you've like just tuned the list for what you expect to see. I think that taking like this is very this like very greedy level 0 lineup where you're like, I want to open this 4K and this 2 assists, and I'm just gonna throw everything that's not those in Rico and just get them back. That's a very Tyler way to play the list, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad
I'm
it worked
very
out
greedy.
for you.
Yeah.
He is a greedy player.
But glad that worked out. All right, on to Tanner. You want to talk about greed? Go ahead,
child,
Tanner.
yeah.
I'm never greedy. This is the most safe list I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
So
okay.
I'm playing my child. I refuse to play anything else until I can't. So originally this was 3-3-2 on the Climax lineup with 2 Maureen doors, and after playing it enough into Alice, I realized that nothing is more important than looping my Sora bar because the extra 1K cross turn to have the Sora's minimum sit 12K is extremely relevant, as well as using my Robocos to bounce back and keep them even bigger. It makes it so Alice can't crack over it ever and have to just continuously side. I only saw, I believe, 2 and 1, maybe 2 Alice's. I think definitely 1 with Zach, but it just is a tech to try to prevent that. The only thing I would change about the list, which I realized kind of overplaying throughout the week, was I found that even though there's 3, I never found my Brainstorm. It just didn't exist. So I would cut one of the Miko level 1s, the combo, just put that at 3, and then up the Brainstorm to 4 because for some reason that card evades me.
Damn.
But
Only 3 combos.
other than that, yeah. The only other like one of that was like a problem for me, and not because of it was a bad card, because I'm stupid, is the 2-1 Toa assist. Once we go through the games, we'll kind of get a little more into it. But when I see green 2-1 with a soul trigger, I assume it's Sora a little more than I should. So that may have cost me a game, but it's okay because it just uses as motivation for the rest of the guys there. So I think the real MVP of this deck is the one of Hand to Stock. I cut this card in testing throughout the week beforehand, put it back in last second, and it won me a game because I was able to go down, throw away all my stock basically, and use that to just trash like a standby and another garbage card in my hand to triple Sora and resolve full combo, which wouldn't have been possible without it. Using the Rico to dig for, or to make sure I pull it up, or a Miko to dig for it if I absolutely need to.
I think a card that you have always played that I never see anyone else touch is the $20 Kirito, the Roboco from Premium Booster. That's literally the same card, right? That's like on death, check 3 Rize, right?
On death, check 3, yeah.
Yeah, on death, check 3.
It's,
yeah,
it's a 6K on play. That card, I originally was focused a lot on just the 1-0 Roboco. However, I ran into an issue where sometimes your 2-1s are just at the bottom of your deck. I had 2 games where, and my bottom 5 cards had 3 of my 2-1s. So it
anybody
happens.
Extra deck speeds like that and 2 Cheery.
So, right.
Like your
So it's a thing that can swing big into most 1K ones. And just 6K, and normally you have a level assist behind it, so it swings 65 on your first turn. Once you stand by in your assist behind it, so it's a pretty big swing for free, and then just extra deck speed helps you grab your 2-1 in case you're not going to hit your standby, and just to play it at 2, in case you hit the fail case of not having your Egyptian God hand.
How often did you actually have to switch into the one of door? Or did you just check it off Maureen like a god?
I played Maureen only twice all throughout the weekend, one of which I drew into, and then one of which I had to switch into it.
Okay.
So
I did watch you sack God into that one game, Tanner.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the one where I just drew into it. I was like, oh yeah, I had the stock swap, like I had the thing, and I had the stock swap in hand. I had a card. I'm like, well, I can mill if I don't need it, but then I'll only get double. And I was just doing math. I'm like, we'll probably find it, and we drew it, and because I tripled was the exclusive reason why I got there. Double would not have killed him that turn. So, yeah, the one of door was relevant in the fact that I got it when I needed it. I think having the 4 bars is too important to the deck. My hand most of the day was 3 bars plus other things. They always are in my hand. I kept drawing climaxes like no other, so that's why I play Megsoul. I can never cancel without using it, so we have to pivot there. And then the 3 of standby is just a guarantee. I can get my game plan live. It's really relevant against Alice to get my Soras on board early. So
yeah, if you get them down at 1, the game's completely different. If you can establish the defense. So all right. So let's just hop into your rounds. Whatever you guys remember, we'll just go A, B, C down the line. So Brian, how was your round 1?
All right.
Oh God, that was a tough game.
Yeah, our round 1 was probably the hardest match we had all day. We sat down and our opponents didn't show up.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I remember this. I'm sitting down. I wish I had put the photo in. Maybe I can go grab it while I'm talking about this. But I remember we sit down for our round 1, and we get queued into. Yeah, here we go.
You queue into a team kill.
Yeah, we queue. You could see the photo right here. We queue into Jason, Ryan, and Steve, and right behind them is Tanner, Tyler, and Brian sitting there with no fucking opponent in round 1. And I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything more unfair. But that was really funny, and I do have the photo up here. But That was I guess a good start to your day. I guess we could just hop right into round 2. Then.
Yeah, but believe it or not, we won round 1. So,
okay, all right. So you started
Starting
with
off the day pretty good.
So
round 2, I played into 6 standby, 2 choice, 7 deadly sins. Into triple Alice specifically, I feel like that matchup is pretty free when they don't get into their Meliodas. I didn't see a 2-1 Liz all game, and I saw him play a single 3-2 Meliodas. The 2-2 bonds that he was standbying out only got to 10k, so they never cracked over my Alice's. He bled out of hand from hand on core, and Alice kind of ran the game on that one. Not much more to say.
yeah, if you establish Aliceport against the more traditional standby decks, they are very, very sad. That is one of the big complaints about Alice is like once they're out, it's if you can't crack them, they're staying there, and every other choice that comes into their hand is just the game just starts to slowly completely get out of control. But okay, all right, so pretty easy first round for you then, just for a matchup. Unfortunate for that Sins player to see you. That is like the one match he was probably hoping to dodge. Which solid strategy for trios.
And trios sometimes you do, yeah.
All right, Tyler, what do you got for round 2?
For my round 2, I had 8-door Fate. It was also pretty easy because I ended up having like 2 of my 1/1 red Ninos and 1 of my blue 1/1 Ninos out, and the Rin level 1 just can't hit over that.
They could like tie 1, I think. If
I
they,
had the
play it
500
last.
back row.
Yeah, they can hit 8, I think, with 1. Right? Because that card's 4/5. If you drop it last, it's 7. Tied at
He
8.
didn't drop it last.
But yeah. If you don't drop it last,
it gets to 8 with climax, yeah.
If you can't drop
he didn't
it
drop it last though. He dropped it second. And I said, "That's just on play power, right?" He goes, "Yep."
Uh-huh.
Like, unfortunate.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. He icy tailed me at the end for double soccer icy tail. He whiffed one of them. He hit 2 or 3 on the other one, and I was able to cancel, but he was at 3-6, and he just died to refresh.
Yeah, that is that sounds like 8-door Fate to me. All right, Tanner, what do you got for round 2?
I had an unfortunate round 2. I played into Painstore Kaguya. I didn't realize that my math was wrong. I thought his Kaguya after using the torch was 6k, not 65. I thought it was 1500 on play, so I just misunderstood that. So my 6k Miko that was going to swing to get my 3-2 back was not able to clear it. Therefore, I had to wait until I could draw into a 3-2, which which delayed my whole combo 1 turn. But after that, it was just I was behind in damage because I couldn't start slamming my bars, and he ended up canceling at the end of the game when I only was able to. I believe that was one of my marring games where I hit the double marring and did not get there. So
okay.
Unfortunate game 1 started tilting the mental a little bit, but the other 2 kind of kept me in check and helped us keep going.
Yep, we won as a team. So
Yep, moving on, 2-0.
2-0 into round 3. One
round
game under our belts.
What'd you get, Brian? Round 3?
I queued into. I guess it's technically Escanor. It's card for card Escanor, except instead of playing Escanor, they were playing Hendrickson. It was Stock Soul Pants 7 Deadly Sins. We had a relatively normal game. I being Alice, I built my wall up. He couldn't hit over it. Just kept cracking me. I was eating damage. I got up to high level 2. I knocked him to level 3, and I was staring down 2 Hendrickson finishers plus another lane. And that was probably one of my scariest experiences of the day. I thought I was going to die there for sure. I wasn't particularly compressed, but my deck state ended up working out in my favor. I lived, I don't remember exactly where at, but pretty high level 3, I'm pretty sure, and managed to crack back with Kirito for game there. But I was terrified. I was sweating bullets.
He didn't check a climax off the fate
No,
seal.
luckily
Oh,
not.
yeah, if Hendrickson checks a climax off his that is on attack. It's like pay 1, ditch 2, right?
Pay,
And
pay 1,
then-
ditch 2, burn. Is it burn 4 then check top, or is
No,
it
it's
check
check
then burn
top
4?
first. It is specifically check top first. Yeah. So if they see a climax on top, you're pretty dunzo there. Hendrickson also checks 3 on play, so like
Yeah.
they kind of rev it. That's how. Was it 4-4 or was it 6-2 like the other lists usually are?
I think it was 4-4. I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure.
I mean
though.
it makes sense. He was probably just slamming the level 0 Elizabeth and then
Yeah, I mean,
running
Pants is pretty
into-
good for recurring stock soul and just plus.
that is pretty funny. You know, I bet you that deck is like probably pretty cheap because you don't have to buy the Escanor stuff, and it's probably still really gross.
It seemed pretty solid to me. Yeah.
Well,
Shout out
didn't
to
you
that
tell me
guy.
that guy was playing the level 0 stock Escanor bomb?
He
Yeah,
was.
the bomb.
Oh my
was
god, that card is a terrorist card. Every single
Yeah.
time somebody talks about this, you see this at regionals, and every single time I got hit by it too. 3/6 cancel, Jack for 3/6 cancel hit me with this too. Every single time the Escanor bomb comes down, and every single time it clears your cards. Like they always have exactly, no matter how bad the game's going, they always have the Escanor to bomb your stuff. That card can be really, really nasty.
But yeah, on that note, turn 0, I play Yu-Gi-Oh, expecting him to just die and go to memory. No, Escanor bomb, he's gone, he's in stock. Do my Alice turn, get my Alice's out, boom, Escanor bomb. One of my Alice's is in stock. I'm like, all right, I respect it. Yeah,
that card's nut. That card can be super nuts.
But
All
yeah,
right.
that was a scary experience.
But you did get there. All
I
right, so
did.
Brian won his lane. Tyler, what'd you have round 3?
For me, I had Pants Book Slime. There isn't much to say except for the slime player ate all the damage and died.
Oh,
They
okay, so
didn't-
you didn't even get an
Yep.
opportunity to use your techs against them, like the clock kick back row. It's just
No, he ate everything.
You just swing 2s at them repeatedly with your 2/2s.
He tried comboing me with his Shizus at level 3, and I was like 1-6 or 2-0 or something.
yeah, the Weiss be Swarchen sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
Slime doesn't do the one thing Slime's supposed to do.
Unfortunate for your opponent, but
Yeah.
we take those. Tanner, how'd your game go?
Yeah. I played into Kanata Marine. He resolved a single Kanata first turn, and I triple Sora, cracked over it, and then I already used the bounce back. So even if he had I was using the bounce back double bouncer with Robico. So even if his entire board, I just shuffle back 2 soul triggers every turn, and then bounce him back once I slam the bar. So they were all 13k on defense. So no matter what he did, he couldn't clear them, and he just crashed triple Kanata 3 times into them. He was able to recur it throughout the game, and he never got to establish Marin because he just died to my swings for 4 eventually.
Yeah, that matchup is pretty dependent on your build is a little bit more resistant to it because you can get the Soras out even earlier. I remember when I played Okayu Sora Marine in Toronto, that matchup was rough because I can't play it down to level 2, and the player that has them down first is usually in a good position because the attacking player is either forced to side or try to crash and then try to win on defense, and then the game kind of goes from there. But it sounds like you just had all the initiative there, which
I was
the standby really
out
helps
the first time, and
in that matchup
he
specifically.
just couldn't recur it too late.
It's actually insane how much of a difference the one turn bringing it out early does, because I remember that matchup's absolutely hell for the like Okayu variants, and it's like really easy for Tanner's deck. So, all right, well, moving on to round 4, you guys are 3-0.
All right, round 4, I queued into 8 choice Hello Happy World, my new pet deck from Bang Dream. Into this was the first game of the day where my deck decided to be a little bit uncooperative. Every turn he would slam choice with his cannons. They were unreversible the first turn prior to me getting my Alice's out, and I would just eat damage and eat damage. Got to his finisher turn, played a Kokoro or 2, the Icy Tail that hits off of soul triggers at the bottom of your opponent's deck. Alice doesn't actually play that many soul triggers. I didn't take any damage from his combo. but ended up dying to vanilla swings on a relatively compressed deck.
Well, it's weird. You like thin all your non-soul triggers out, but like there's like usually at least 1 in your stock and 3 on the board, and all your counters are in your hand, and then your Kirito's in your hand for resonate. So it's like, even though you've thinned out zeros, you've also weirdly thinned out soul triggers as well.
All your soul triggers.
Yeah. Leaving you with like events.
More often than not, you aren't triggering, I found, with at least the build that I'm playing of Alice.
Yeah, it's a little different because you want to like hold the Kirito, you want to hold the counters, of course. You have the.
But yeah, was a little bit unfortunate. I was very compressed after I ate that last bit of damage off the top. I flashed it to my opponent, flashed it to Tyler. They can both attest.
Yeah.
If you had had a normal game, that matchup is unbelievably rough for that deck too. It's unfortunate.
Was not to be. Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to Tyler's game.
For me, I played against Door Choice AOT. This guy was spicy and a half. He had like 17 one-ofs.
He was playing the Levi
set one restander. Yeah. He had like 17 one-ofs, and after the game, he showed me all of them, and he's like, here they are, and they're just a giant pile.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
But
insane.
In the game, he was just canceling a little bit too much, and I didn't cancel like at all. And he had a door every single time it was his turn. He went door. He kept somehow getting his Mikasas back, and I just exploded.
Yeah, we had the exact same game, it sounds like.
And that was the only time that Brian and I were not able to win at the same.
Or we lost. That's the only time we lost at the same time.
It's always,
the only time we lost the same time.
That's always what happens. Night. It's like the rounds are always decided. It's like, did we both get unlucky at the same time? And that is usually what determines a lot of the runs. Unfortunately, that's just how Drios be, right?
Yeah.
So I guess Tanner's game ended up going pretty well then.
Yeah, so I played into the classic standby door Kaguya. The guy was really cool. He was telling me he was going to play the other stuff, but he didn't have it, so he decided to just stick with what he knew. He never played into Sora before, especially when I got it out at 1-2. And I looped bar 4 turns in a row, and then he just died.
Yeah.
So
I think you were a bit of a bully, Tanner. I'm glad you and your opponent were on good terms before and after the game.
He saw the 2-1 changer that I standby'd in, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to early play something." So he put up his the 2-1 Chica Adachi, and he smacked me with that. We actually ended up playing these guys in top cut round 8, top 8. So we'll get into that one there. But he definitely used that card to bully me back a little bit, but in my build, it's pretty easy for me to get back that extra Sora, and if so I'm level 2, I can just change into a single Sora to keep triple back up for the rest of the game. So
yeah, you get a little bit more time, unlike the builds that put it out at level 2, because if you lose them there, you pretty much don't put any more back out, but you were able to recur it. No issues with President. It was just the Adachi. I know the President.
No, he was taking damage too much or too quickly that he just couldn't establish
it. Didn't get it down. Yeah, you got to get some cancels to get full value out of the President at 2. Makes sense. So you guys are down to 3-1 going into round 5.
Yeah.
Brian, who'd you see?
So going into round 5, we sat down across from a viewer of the channel who we had the pleasure of meeting prior to the event, The Tempest. And he was playing Door Choice, Attack on Titan. I don't have any notes here, and I don't remember anything particularly remarkable about that game, which tells me that I played a pretty normal Alice game plan. I remember he fielded probably 2 Aaron Titans. I may have gotten a lucky cancel toward the end off of one of the Icy Tails, and then killed him after my last refresh there. But I'm pretty sure it was a fairly normal Weiss Schwartz game, maybe with some lucky cancels in my favor.
Kirito Negsoul doesn't target, right? It's character across, I believe.
I believe.
Yeah,
so.
It's the character across from him because it's on front attack declared. So yeah, I was thinking I was gonna say because the Door Choice AOT actually has a lot of decent tools in the mid game to try to buy for board, take board back against Alice, and like
Mhm.
get them off the board, even though they're to stock, and that's the easiest zone to like get things back out of for Alice, especially they have the Argo Brainstorm that's a salvage. To like keep slamming them back down. It's still like Armin's a hell of a card. The early play Aaron is a hell of a card because Quince is a little bit on the down and Alice is on the up. They can take those Connie slots and put them towards level 2 killers. So Door Choice AOT is actually like a pretty safe mid-rangey kind of deck to take. So it doesn't surprise me that the game is like not a lot of notes. Seemed like a normal game. Like
thinking of it now, there was one more notable thing that I just now remembered. So I played normal Alice. I got my Alices out at level 1. 3 of them, as you do when you're a good player and you're lucky like me. But I attacked in with my Alices, and I got hit with clock anti-change counter level 1 from Attack on Titan.
Yep, that is a card.
I was not ready for that, and that came as a little bit of a surprise to me. I lost one of my Alices, lost one of my attacks early on, and I lost a little bit of my tempo there. I thought it was
uniquely.
Thought it might have been over.
It's like so. You think that's a nice little feather for your set, and yeah, it is good. You do fog an attack, you fog damage. That's what you're doing it for. But because Alice's like go even is on climax play, you don't get hurt by it. So long as they eat the other swings, right? If they cancel even once and you lose the attack and they're still at 1, then it can get a little dicey. But sounds like that's not what happened. The game probably.
Yeah, I can't remember how much he canceled early on, but I did end up getting there.
Yeah, AOT always a solid pick. Not surprised that it was mostly a normal game. You got by the Hanji, but it's always important. You got to remember those 1-0 counters. It's like AOT
completely forgot that card existed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tyler's Lane. What happened?
I played against another Pants Book Slime, and this one was a lot more normal. It was just a swing back and forth kind of game. Never really could hit over my standby targets for the most part until they started to early play. I did end up hitting this guy with my anti-change for the first time in the night, and he just goes, "Oh, yep, that's a card. Whoopsies." And off of that, I pretty much won because he just used all of his stock and he couldn't really come back after that.
Losing a single attack, the slime game plan really depends on going back up to 3 at least.
Yeah.
Because once you're at 3, you can still at least double heal again or have a 1-stock flex to brainstorm to like.
Yeah, it was his yellow healer too, so he couldn't even hand encore it.
Yeah.
The big one.
So yeah, he couldn't even like try to double hand encore to keep back in the game. He just lost it. That really sucks.
And off of that I think that won me the game.
Yeah, just like if you can't get back up to 3 and they can't present another early play on the next turn, or like present an early play and do something else, usually brainstorm to control your deck, or like Ramorous to like keep up something on board or something like that. They usually need that like one extra stock they have to do something impactful, and when they lose it, they can kind of get out of the zone, the slime zone. The slime time where like they're canceling over and over and over again because their memory compressed. It only takes like one turn to like find the chink in the armor, and then they just kind of blow up. But, that was the game from there. Sounds about right. Tanner, who'd you see?
So I saw one of the spiciest, absolute dankest Hololive lists I've ever seen. He was playing the Luna Stock Soul level 1 with 4 empty standbys. I believe there might have actually been the Choco in there, but he never ended up fielding it against me. So early game, he was using the on attack Okayu it checks top and spawns a level 0 into the back row. So he was using that to get early pluses, and he ended up as soon as he hit 2, he played the 2/3 event that searches the deck and spawns a character. He spawned the Aki Bodyguard.
The gacha event? Oh my god, that event's fucking awesome.
And he spawns the Aki 3/2 18k Bodyguard. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't have anti-change in hand at this point. I'm like, how am I going to answer this? So he cracks my Sora with it. He pays 2 to kill my on attack. He ditches was it ditch 3 or ditch 2? He kills ditch 3. He kills my Brainstormer. So I pay 3 to save my Brainstormer. I'm at 4 stock at this point. Go down to 1 stock, knowing that I can use my Brainstormer to pump my Sora back up, so I can clear this. He gets his swings in. I use the Brainstorm effect to put back my Sora. I double slam my Roboco, shuffle back 4 clean cards, then bounce them back to my hand to make my middle lane 20k in order to front him and then get 2 extra free attacks on the side. Forgetting that Encore is a thing, after I just did it, he pays 3, and I'm like, it's fine. My Sora is still 16k. It's still good. And then all of a sudden, I forget. He hits a Brainstorm, has the cards, ditches them, blows up my middle lane Sora, and I'm just like, all that work that I just put in for nothing. That card's just insane and then at that point, I just started crashing into him and ended up just getting enough damage there at the end. But that Aki is actually really scary, especially right now when if you don't remember it, and it puts a lot of pressure on the board too, because 18k is not easy to clear, and then once you start hitting some level assists and whatnot behind it, that thing becomes absurd.
I can't believe you even cracked over at 1 turn. It's like that's like every power pump in your deck, like dumped into a single lane.
Only 2 cards.
Oh my god. All right, so that was what? That was round 5, right?
5.
So you guys are 4-1 going into round 6, getting down to the wire here. Brian, who'd you see?
All right, this round I played into Alice Silica. I played into my first Alice of the day and our team's first Alice that we saw all day in round 6. I hit level 1 first. I got triple Alice out. My opponent was unable to establish a board. I kept my counters in hand. My opponent was playing on a 2 or 3 card hand. Unable to hold counters up because they're just in a desperate attempt to try to keep their board up to attack. So I had a pretty clean run that game. I don't remember how hard my Kirito finisher went, but the pressure solely from my Alice board that he couldn't match won me that game.
It sounds like you had a normal game and they did not have a normal game. Yeah, it's one of those.
Sure. Yeah, the result also
in the mirror.
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of canceling on their end either. So I mean, it's White Schwartz.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right, Tyler.
I played against Choice Standby Ruby. It was a pretty normal game for the most part. I think I was keeping board a little bit better than they were. I was starting to bleed hand though, because as he hit over things, I needed to obviously hand Encore and keep things alive to keep the pressure up.
Yeah, Jean scales pretty big.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think if there was anything actually like significant in that game, if it was just a regular game of Weiss.
Were they on split standby or did they go all in on one of them?
They went 4-4.
It looked like just Ruby standby.
It was just Ruby
standby. Okay.
Yeah, he double Rubied me at the end.
At all. Okay.
Yeah, he double Rubied me at the end. I lived at like 3-5 or something, and I was able to. I forget if I vanilla swung that for the game or if I got my Icy Tail out. I don't remember, but I did get it.
Interesting. They were only on Ruby. Usually the choice list they play like a 2-2, and they use the Pyrrha to like try to like kind of do what you do, right? Where like you shit out your whole big board at like at 2. That's when your board starts getting actually big and you don't have to hand Encore stuff anymore. They kind of do a similar thing where like they slam down the Pyrrha and then all their lanes get massive with like an early player too. But sounds like that did not happen. That was not the build. So
yeah, and Tyler Tanner, correct me if I'm wrong here, but we had played this team previously. This is the team that we lost. We lost to in Toronto that ended up winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep. With one change.
Yeah, the player that Tanner was against was different.
Was a
But
different
Yeah,
player.
their C seat was not there. Yes.
Well, that was cool.
I ended up. Yeah, so it was good to get a run back. I remember in that game. I didn't remember it in the moment, but I remember after we were talking. That was the game where I forgot that the anti-change counter is level 2, so I sided him for no reason, and those 2 damage that he didn't take was the difference between the game at the end there. So I remember that after the fact, but yeah, really strong team and really happy the 2 of them were able to get there because this is my throwing for content game of the tournament here. So I do everything I'm supposed to, get my thing all set up, slam my standby at level 1, set down my 2-1, not looking at which 2-1 it is, and my opponent turns his head and looks at me kind of odd, and I'm like, oh, he doesn't know what he's about to have coming to him next turn. He doesn't know what this does. Totally. That's why he's looking at me funny. I swing in, and he responds. He cracks me, and I look at my hand. I look at my board. And I go, that's the wrong 2-1. We're not playing Sora today. Looking at the 2 bars in my hand and the 3-2, I'm like, that's not too helpful at this point.
It's not like it's the one thing you want your deck to do.
Wait,
or anything.
what set did
No,
you play
no,
into,
no.
Tanner? I don't know if I missed
sorry,
that.
this is 8-door Quints.
8-door Quints, okay.
So I'm like, it'll be okay. It's just 1 turn. We'll get it next turn because we have the 2-1 in hand to play, and we have enough stock after we attack here. So we go into his next turn, and he hits 2 doors, pumping 3 souls with his 1/1 back row, and I eat everything. I get shot straight to 2-6 and have no way at that point to catch up. I play my Soras down, but at that point he's able to side, hit a door, pump soul, and just, crash, hit doors, pump soul, and just beat over me that way. So unfortunate that I ate a big chunk there, but self-inflicted wounds got me there.
All right. Well, last round, you guys are X1, right?
We are X1, yeah. Final round of Swiss. We queue into a team kill match. We queue into Colton and Braden from the Clock Tower and our local Zach. I played into Choice Door Bang Dream in the A seat, and I did not have a good game. My first deck, I sped through as Alice does. My deck was not cooperating. I couldn't find any of my mill cards. I managed to get 1 Alice out and combo with it. And on the follow-up, refreshed 5 cards back into my deck, ate a bunch of damage, continued triggering those 5 climaxes on my second deck, and died from 2-5.
Yikes.
So it was, to cost me finisher, it was gross.
Yeah, that sounds like Braden had a pretty good game, and you did not. So Tyler, you queued into Colton, I'm guessing then, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
And he was playing 8-bar Maid Dragon, and I want to say it was just a normal game again. I just had normal games all day.
That's all you can ask for.
Anything special happened with the finisher pushing damage? Were you frightened at all?
No.
I think at that game, at that point, you were still like 2-5 when the finisher came down, or somewhere around there.
Because when he was playing his finisher, both Tanner and Brian already lost, and I was just like, well, I guess I'll see if I can win the game. I did get it, but nothing crazy happened in it.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Tanner, what happened in your game?
Well, the same thing happened in the 6 games that I've played against Zach in this matchup already.
Funny.
Except this was the worst game both of us have ever played. He only had 3 Alices in deck because 1 was in his clock, and he whiffed 3 straight brainstorms. Then on his last one, he only gets 1 Alice out because he hits 2 in in another card. His bottom card's his last Alice. And so he's like, all right, well, whatever. He's got 1 Alice. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. I have 1 Sora. So I respond because I was stock. I had to spend some stock early to keep my deck in a better spot because we were kind of exploding a little bit. Then he responds. He plays his second Alice. Then I respond and I play my second Sora. I hard play the 2-1 and hard play the 3-2 from hand. So we're just having that kind of game. And I sit down, or I end up hitting him to 2-6. He clocks himself and he drops down 2 Argos, and I'm sitting at, I think I was either at 3-1 or 3-0. And at that point, I see the Argo and I know it's dead, and I die to the first Argo. So I was at 3-1 and I died to the first Argo, 8-3 and then 8-3. So
we did comment that it was, we did comment that it was the legendary triple Argo. The third lane was the Brainstorm.
Yep.
Yeah, the legendary triple. That's funny. But yeah, I guess that's the feather for Argo. You don't need anything. You don't need full board. You don't need any setup like Kirito. You just slam Argo down and then she kills you.
Big old numbers, yeah.
Yep. So you guys ended 5-2.
We ended 5-2, yeah.
On the bubble. But you guys did make it in.
Dirty bubble boy.
We did make it. We ended up at 8th. We ended up at 8th place going.
8th place, so just sneaking in. It's this is something that I found, especially with trios, because deck check takes so long. When you lose the final round and bubble in, you get a nice reset. When you win the final round, especially like if you're X1 or God forbid you're XO and you have the curse, you get iced. It's like completely different. Your mentality going in, going out, like. You get so you guys did have the benefit of you get a good mental reset. You get to go out to the night because it's there's so many people in the venue. There's a nice little side room that had the same level of air conditioning as the rest of the venue. That everybody was congregating in between rounds. Get a nice little reset there. After deck check passes by without any issues. I'm guessing.
Tanner's got a story.
Okay. I thought it passed great for those two, and I was going, and they were taking a long time, really looking at my deck. I'm like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? And they call over Peter, head judge, and he starts to shuffle, and he's like, bar, and he throws my bar on the table. I'm like, how is he doing this? And he's like, Laplace, and he shuffles it up, and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing that, but can you make it so my Laplace doesn't hit 2 climaxes as it had all day to that point? And he's like, no, but I could do this. And he pulls out the Laplace again. I'm just like, what? Are you a wizard? And he's like, can you just re-sleeve these 2? There's a miscut. So I re-sleeve. I'm looking at the sleeves. I don't see I couldn't tell what he was talking about. So until I got home, I put my glasses on, and I could see the ever so slight notch in the side of the thing. I'm like, I'm blind. So for me, if I was just staring if you could show me a million miscut cards and I probably wouldn't know. So that's why I'm happy.
And you were just on shields, right? Or like game genetics or something.
They were dragon shields. They were the
this does happen
like this.
Yeah.
The Statue of Liberty dragon shields.
The art dragon shields, yeah.
So they were the art, so it took a little longer because they had to check all my arts and make sure they were all good, which they were. I just took two more of them out of the thing, put them in, and there was no issue. So
if you're bringing dragon, honestly, if you're bringing any sleeves to a tournament, bring your spares from the same pack with you. Dragon shields are notorious. You cannot mix and match packs because of how they're cut on the line. As long as you have an extra pack, if anything happens like this with Tanner, this is very normal. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about like not bringing dragon shields or something to a tournament. Just keep them with you. There can be miscuts and there can be inconsistencies. Just have them because, like, Simu, other really good judges, they'll be like, like this one's miscut, happens, switch it out. Like you said, no amount of those those miscuts are ridiculous. So,
but I'm in the habit of always picking up a fresh box of dragon shields before I go to an event.
Same.
That's the safest way to do it, and just bring the spares with you. They give you 50 extra for a reason. So.
But yeah, speaking of mental reset before going into Top Cut, I think the 3 of us had a little bit of mounting panic in the back of our minds having made Top Cut because we had a flight scheduled at 9 p.m. that night to fly home after the event.
Yeah, I remember we were like buzzing around, and I was like, Dean kind of wants to like drive through the night as he'd want to do. Like, so you guys have that safety net. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll figure it out. Which then ended up not happening because it got way too late. And Dean's like, I don't want to drive back. Thankfully, that all worked out because you got that Marriott Elite Platinum Titanium comp room.
And ended up spending an extra night at the hotel since it's right across the street from the airport because we did have to play the 3 additional rounds in Top Cut. Spoiler alert.
All right, so going into Top Cut, round 1, top 8.
So our first round in Top Cut was a rematch against our round 4 opponent. I played into 8-choice Hello Happy World again, and once again the game went exactly the same for me. We had a pretty normal game. Had climax constantly slammed against me while my opponent canceled. Then died to vanilla swings on a fairly compressed deck. And again, I flashed my deck to Tyler again.
Yeah, I saw it. I was just like, wow, I can't believe that happened again.
Against the same guy. Yeah, I mean, it was just horribly bad luck. But luckily, like I spoiled a second ago, we did have to play 3 rounds of Top Cut, so Tyler and Tanner managed to get there.
Yeah, for my game, I had the complete opposite of my first round with him. He just slammed climax every single time. I ate everything for the first time, and then now I played against him. He didn't cancel a single time, and he's just like, I shouldn't have lost that. I was like, well, you did.
It happens.
That was bar choice AOT again.
Yeah, and he ate absolutely everything. I was able to keep the pressure on. I was I had the control, but he didn't think so.
Yeah, it's like decks running versus decks not running, right? It just happens. Sounds like your opponent had a pretty like teched out deck too, so that's sort of just something that happens when the deck's running and things are going good. Those decks seem unstoppable when somebody's really greedy and techs out, and then when things do not go to plan, sometimes you blow up. So that's the risk you take when you build for a ceiling versus building for a floor. Quince, notably, very high floor, no matter how greedy you get with it, because the engine is so super solid. So moving into Tanner's game.
Yeah, played it back against the Standby Door Kaguya guy. This game went pretty different. Still ended the same for the most part. However, this time instead of just being at low level 2 after multiple turns of Sora, he actually ends up cracking me to 3-4, I believe. And I go, well, I guess it's time to play my first triple Maureen of the day. Have a full hand, tons of stock, able to use that extra stock to guarantee that I can resolve triple this turn. End up drawing into the climax on the very first Maureen. Is all set up, good to go. He's at 3-5 going into this. So I'm like, all right. I know he's somewhat compressed, but like triple Maureen, 3-5. There's no shot that this is like even anything, right? First Maureen, cancel, burn, cancel the swing. Second Maureen, cancel the burn, cancel the swing. And I'm just like, this isn't this. Yeah, it's fine. Third Maureen, cancel the burn. And I'm sitting here sweating bullets. And thankfully he ate the swing there and ended up dying there. But it was very nerve-wracking where I went from feeling unstoppable, guaranteed dead to
sounds
he
like
still
Weiss.
has 2 climaxes in deck.
That's the Weiss feeling. Is like
he was only out 1 beforehand, so like I knew that he was compressed, and it's like, but it's only 2 damage. It's so easy. But yeah, the Weiss gods decided to smile upon us there and let to one of my 6 attacks stick through.
And I think Tanner's was the last game. We were all watching this turn with bated breath. I remember watching you sack into your climax and go for it, and crossing my fingers and praying that would be enough.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into top 4.
All right. In the A seed in top 4, I played into Door Choice Attack on Titan. A different Door Choice Attack on Titan player than I played into before. It was a relatively normal game. I got cancel diffed by my opponent. The only noticeable thing, there was one point during the game where my opponent clocked to level, drew his 2 cards first, and then proceeded to choose his level, which I judge called. My opponent got a caution on that, which I am not 100% sure I agree with, but I mean, what's done is done, and that's here nor there now. I ended up losing that game though, unfortunately.
I remember watching that. You went for like the mill 17, and had like a decent chance to get back, but like all of your opponent's climaxes were like the top of their deck, which was the story of that game. Honestly, I swear.
I needed to cancel something on my final turn, and I didn't. So I mean, dude, why Schwartz?
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of canceling going on your opponent's side of the field. A lot of canceling and then like milling out a completely clean deck and then canceling again. You know, the classic.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is.
It be what it be. Yep. We're in top 4 at this point. We're feeling all right.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and jump to C before.
Yeah, we'll let Tyler go last.
This game here. So my game was fairly normal. Stood by in my. I played Ain't Sim by Quince. I stood by in my stores at the store counter at level 1. Got my stores on board early. My opponent wasn't able to crack over it. They had their 2/2, but after my power pumped onto my stores, they just weren't able to clear. They did not have the 500 power pump back row, unfortunately, that Tyler was playing there. So I was able to just kind of run away with it. I ended up playing the Sora bar, I believe, 5 times that game after using the Climax Swapper in there to grab it one last time. And unfortunately for my opponent, they did end up just taking a lot of damage from a lot of swings for 4.
All right, so the match is at 1-1.
Yep,
for everybody,
Tyler's got a story to tell. Yeah.
For everybody who has seeked through this entire video to find this exact point, welcome to the tournament report. Tyler, go off. It's all you.
Okay, so I don't know how hard I want to go into this, but
just tell the game as you played it. What'd you play into?
Started off against a Alice Silica, so that was the first Alice that I ran into. Doing great. He spawns out his triple Alice.
3 Alice, yep.
I was able to respond with a dead lane that I was crashing into, my Adachi, and a 2/2. So I was able to clear 2 lanes, and he was able to keep 1 up. Off of that turn, he was able to use a counter to tie me, which happened to be the memory kick counter, but he did not inform me that it was the memory kick counter.
Which is a mandatory effect.
Which
is a mandatory effect.
Which is a foil. Tyler knows what the memory kick counter looks like. Just want to clarify
that. I did not know what the foil looks like. And off of that, he did not tell me to send my card to memory. Then, both of our cards were reversed because he matched me at 12k. And off of that, he goes, Judge, who encores first? I'm looking at him like, what? You should know who encores first. You're in top 8. You're in top 4.
Yeah.
And he goes, turn player encores. The judge goes, turn player encores first. I go, okay. I hand encore my card. And he goes, okay, I'm going to pay 3 and encore my card. And then we go on our business, and about 2 to 3 turns pass. And he goes, hey, where's that 2/2 I sent to memory? And I go, you never sent anything to memory. And he goes, yes, I did. And then he calls the judge and says, hey, I sent this to memory. I was just like, when did you try and send it to memory? He goes, I used the memory kick counter when I backupped. I was like, what? I was like, when did you tell me that? He goes, I guarantee you I told you memory kick. And off of that, they called the head judge over, and since I attacked with a card that was supposed to be from a mandatory effect into memory, I got a game loss.
And we ended up losing top 4 off of that.
And he received a warning.
And to add to that point, the game was also a full level apart at this moment.
I was destroying him.
the game after the counter was played, and it immediately shifted direction where Tyler started really running away with it instead of the fairly even, like early, like 0-1, like after like they each had a turn at 1, like the game was over, unless like a random pocket of damage opened up.
Yeah, unless he smacked
and
me for a lot, but I don't think that would have happened. I was pretty
Right.
convinced.
Especially not
So-
from
And
Silica.
even before that, there was the debacle with the resolution of the Alice combos. If you want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. So the for his first turn for Alice and multiple turns after that he kept comboing, the way that he was trying to play Alice was he would throw a bunch of cards onto the board and try to expect me to know what cards are going to hand and going to stock. So I said, okay, the order for the cards is you put your card into hand first and then you put your card into stock. And he was like acting so dumbfounded, like, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to jump in here, if you're clear about shortcutting, like in effect, like Alice, that's completely fine. If you're clear about
And
which
in
cards
fact,
are going
it
to
is
which zone.
encouraged by the rules that shortcutting
His
like this
waiting
is
room was
fine.
all over the place. It
But-
was hard to follow.
You
So
must
I
be
was trying to
clear.
get him to do it one by one. The judge also agreed, do it one by one. He still didn't understand to do it one by one. So then further down the line, next turn or whatever after that, he would also be doing the same thing again, and the judge had to do the same thing to tell him to do it one at a time so I could actually understand what's going on without a pile of cards on his board.
Yeah, I
And
mean, in theory, if you're being picky about it for Alice, you need to add a card to hand first, then add one card to stock. If you're shortcutting, that's fine. But in a case where a player is being asked to resolve their combos one by one,
By
and is
a
stocking
judge. By
and
a
is
judge.
stocking first, being watched by a judge, technically they should be missing their salvage.
yeah, that's what I did inform him as he stalked first, and he was very confused.
But that's
And the judge let him redo everything, and the judge let him redo that 3 times. And I don't understand on how he didn't understand
It's a
to
shortcutting
not
thing.
throw his
Yeah.
entire waiting room onto the board.
so some people only know how to shortcut the combo.
The-
and
Yeah.
that's the thing. The thing is, I view this in shortcutting same thing as I do, like as you should with infinite loops in like other card games. Like demonstrate you know how to do it correctly one time, and I will be fine with you taking the shortcut.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Or
how
just
it's
simply
mandatory
be
in all other
clear.
card games.
Set your
Right, I
cards
was gonna
that
say,
go to
If
stock.
you just show 3 cards,
Yeah.
stock, hand, just like Kanata, right? I'm putting these in stock, these in hand. Let your opponent look at them if they ask to see what you're putting where, instead of just flipping them over and putting them in your hand really quick, so then you don't know what's what.
It's about being clear.
But yeah,
It was
the
the
whole
judge
Memtic
was
thing was
concerned
unfortunate.
because there was not clarity. Clarity was not happening.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Um,
he ended up off of the game loss, I forgot to mention, since there was no clarity, the judge gave him a warning.
Was it a warning for the mem
It
kick?
was
the
a
memory.
warning for him not declaring to be clarifying his effects properly.
Okay.
There was 2 separate warnings because after the mem kick, the head judge resolved in a warning for not keeping track or not ensuring his opponent did the mem kick.
To
So there were
further
2 separate
clarify,
ones.
because I was on the sidelines, I did not catch everything, and I'm not going to pretend like I did. However, Peter, this is the first time the head judge, Peter, was called over to
Correct.
the table. He was back doing admin, as all head judges do during top 8, unless they are called. During this game, Tyler's game specifically, and all these games in top 8, there was a judge behind each player on the, or not each player, but there were
There was a judge behind
judges.
each team.
There was a judge
There was a
behind
judge
each team.
behind each team, and the judge was watching Tyler and his opponent's game the entire time. From the beginning of the game.
We were told the judge did not see the memory kick interaction. He was
The
watching
judge
my
did
game,
not see the memory kick interaction. He was watching Brian's game.
Okay, all right.
is what we were told. But yeah, then this player who we had the memory kick and Alice resolution debacle with, So we lost this game. He then proceeded to go into the finals, and he got a game loss for being messy with his cards and being unclear. So
There was a card off of the mat during that game that
Yes.
the middle player on the other team had caught, therefore giving him the game loss for repeated offenses there.
Don't want to point fingers. Hard to say what's intentional and what's not, but there were a number of warnings there on that player's part.
Yeah, I think we can just move on to your top 3 game.
All right. And top 3 comparatively was a much lighter experience for us. I played into, well, for us, not necessarily for our opponents. I played into Corone Marine Memory Hololive. I played my game, started cracking my opponent for damage. They were not canceling. Their deck was not functioning. I shot them up to the middle of level 2. They had a single card in memory, couldn't play Polka. It was brutal to watch, but it was for me a nice refresher from the downer that was the round before. So I ended up taking my game pretty cleanly.
Tyler?
For my game, I played against 8-door Kaguya.
The anti-Alice build.
Yeah. And pretty much I was coming off of high steam and anger from getting a game loss and losing in top 4. But luckily I was able to chill out and get my footing, and I didn't have a problem with this game at all. I canceled like almost everything. The only thing that he kept doing was he kept dodging my 1-1s and 2-2s. But that was pretty much it. And the only significant thing that happened in that game was at the end, he was like 2-5 or something. And no, he was 2-6. I salvaged my Icy Tail with my green Eatski level 0. I play the Icy Tail, do whatever for the other 2 lanes, attack with the Icy Tail, mill the last 2 climaxes, hit 2 clean. He was at 3-4. He dies to refresh off the 2 burn.
That deck is very, very Alice hate targeted. If it's built the way I'm thinking, it can like stock compress and it does some nasty things. Can drop like double president on you, but like if they don't get going,
double president.
If they don't get going, they don't like hit their brainstorms and they can't just like kind of crack apart if they're not generating a lot of like board pressure with like their 2/2 killers every turn. But
yeah,
I assume they were playing the 2/2 killers.
I didn't see any. The only thing that I saw that was he played mostly. I don't know how many 1/1 blue Adachis he was playing, but he played a bunch of those, and he played a couple presidents, and that was like his whole board the entire game.
Okay, all right. Well, it makes sense for the matchup, I guess.
Yeah,
that list. I'm gonna pull it up real quick too.
I was just gonna say I'm doing the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So pulling it up here. It's trying to load for me.
4th place, 8-door Kaguya.
Yeah, remind me on the counts.
It is.
There was 2 of the 1/1.
2 of the 1/1. Oh, okay. Well, he recycled that a lot then.
2 Adachis, no level 2 killers.
Oh wow. Okay, so just all in on the Adachi.
Yeah, 4 KJC. Interesting. So not traditional anti-Alice Kaguya at all.
Kaguya,
okay. All right. Well, Tanner, how'd your last game go?
Yeah. So this game technically didn't finish. So we were going to play it out. However, I played into Alice Silica, which for that matchup, it's really cool. Where we play the game of I side you for 1 in every lane, maybe 2. You side me for 0 or 1. So we did that for 6 turns. I was at 3-0. He was at 2-5, and going into turn 2, which was my turn, and I hit him. Before that, I stock swap him 14. He proceeds to hit a single climax on that. And this was over refresh. There was 2 cards in deck, so it was 12 cards with 7 climaxes in there. And I'm like, okay, He's extremely compressed. There's no way this isn't going to hit a lot. Proceed to hit a single card, single climax, which was the second from the top, which when he paid 3 to Encore, he was able to get that back because I no longer had to worry about anti-change because I was level 3 at that point. Then I decide to overplay my my stock swap with a Roboco to shuffle my stock swap back into my deck to then overplay to grab my stock swap back from my deck with my Miko, play down stock swap again, like, all right, we're going, this time it was for 13. And I'm like, there's no way, he's just dead at this point. Hit 0 on that one. And after 3 straight turns of triple canceling, after double massive stock swaps, and he was at 3, I believe 3-3 or 3-4 at this point. I was still at 3-0, and the other games were done. The time was really late. He had 1 turn left, and we just said, "All right, you're good. You got it. We're done. Let's just go get a photo. We can try to make this flight." There's no shot.
Didn't happen, but you had to
Which
stick around
didn't
to
happen,
get our certificates. But we tried.
Yep. So I got the quote unquote win in that one. But it was just at that point it was over the game. We just wanted to really get out of there and get some food in our stomachs because we are running very low at that point. So very happy with how those games went there.
Yeah, had been playing Weiss from 10 a.m. straight through like 9 p.m. at that point. It was a grueling day.
Well, Team Surf Japan taking down 3rd. Guys got your mats, right?
We did.
Top
Yeah.
3. Always nice. Super proud of you guys. You guys killed it on the day. Makes me really fucking happy. See you guys. See you guys out there getting the results you guys deserve for your hard work. Because you guys come into locals, and I always say my locals are insane. They're the strongest players I've ever played against. And I feel like bad beats happen, especially in trios. You get the bad timing. I'm really happy it finally worked out. You guys fucking deserve it.
Yeah, COVID put the rust on me a little bit. I think my last top was prior to COVID, and I've been really just trying to shake it off. And I think I'm finally back into it a little bit now.
It was the drip. It was the drip to
Yeah.
Tanner.
It was
Tanner's last
drip.
second audible. You guys had a different thing planned, and Tanner was like, "Go to Five Below, get the Surf Japan shirts, and we're gonna."
Yeah,
rock it.
Yeah. I was gonna say for me, I was very happy to finally make top 8 in the first place. My last 2 trios events, I was 9th and 11th with the bubble. I was the dirty bubble boy, and I was definitely not one to be that anymore. So sliding into 8th and then taking it from there to be able to run over and get top 3 was pretty exciting for me. So very happy with the results, regardless of what may have occurred throughout a little bit.
Yeah, even with some unfortunate results in top 4, we still played great, and I'm super happy. That was my first top ever, so I will take that, and I'm very proud to get 3rd on my first first top.
Proud of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very thankful that
super awesome. We were popping off at the restaurant, and we were like yes. We were all popping off that you guys got in there after the unfortunate, because of course we're hearing everything secondhand. So
yeah,
it was awesome to hear that you guys got through and got prizing after all that. We'll see for Darcy's drip review. I think you guys will do well. He's going through and he's looking. Darcy's super into fashion, so he's like looking at everybody's thing. He actually messaged me beforehand. It was really funny. And he's like, that guy with the orange sweatpants, he's got some drip about him. And I was like, yeah, that's Tanner.
Tanner's strong, yeah.
So we'll see on that one. But yeah, super proud of you guys. We have had everybody here for a long time already. It's been an hour and 20 minutes, but we wanted to give this the attention it deserves. So we hope you enjoyed everybody going through all their rounds. Here's the last slide at end of all of our videos. I'm not going to go through all this stuff again. Y'all already heard about all this. It's the end of every single video. Upcoming content stuff, set reviews, stuff like that. We got a ton of stuff in the chamber. There is finally time for us to actually think about what we want to do, because we don't have to go to an event every other weekend and grind games and get ready and stuff like that, and team shuffling and everything like that.
Rush rundowns win.
So yeah, rush rundown. I don't even want to think about rush rundowns. We're so far behind. But yeah, look out for all that good stuff. Super proud of you guys. You guys deserve it. Definitely enjoy the afterglow, which is well deserved. So
shout out to CFOF TCG.
CFOF TCG. You can find them on Twitter. I'll have that linked in the description just for fun. All right. And with that, Pittsburgh White Sports signing off. We'll see you on the next one.